Oh God, yeah. Feedback.
Here we go. Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. We are here to podcast about anything and everything Star Wars with you.
Star
Please visit
Wars.
our website where you can play current and past episodes at https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR dot KAILEJOHANSEN dot
US.
On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site.
Stop flipping
Again,
me
all
off.
of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.US. And now it's time to talk Star Wars. I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good day,
All right.
mate.
Today we're reviewing another exciting episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 4, right, Scott? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in here that, maybe we should talk about, but I'm gonna do the news first, though.
It's time for the news.
Yeah, it's news. So I have only a couple things that I haven't sent you yet, Scott, but the first article is titled Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 4 just uncovered the Inquisitor's darkest secret. So it basically is talking about that room in the basement that Kenobi called the Jedi Tomb, where they were like frozen in the whatever.
It's almost like Jurassic stuff.
Yeah, like they were preserved so they could, I don't know, frozen maybe, I don't know.
Remember back in Mando, weren't they trying to clone?
Yep. And that could be part of it. So it says here, blah, 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 dragged up, blah, blah, blah. The first thing it says, and my other news thing is going to talk more about this, but it says, what is Fortress Inquisitorus, which is that place, little background says, referenced first time in Marvel's 2017 Darth Vader series. So it was in a comic. And this twisted Imperial facility made its first real appearance in Jedi: A Fallen Order, which is a game, I believe. And the fortress is located on Nur, an ocean moon orbiting the planet Mustafar. So it's just right there by Darth Vader's thing. That's why apparently he's so quick to get there. That we see in the show. He got there almost immediately as soon as she made a mistake, supposedly. Okay. The fortress is clearly wants to keep the Inquisitors close. Heavily fortressed, and so on. So it doesn't answer the question, but it asks the question here: are the Jedi prisoners dead or alive? But we don't know for sure either. So they could be suspended animation, or they could be, like formaldehyde or something, just to preserve them so they can, so the flesh doesn't, or whatever, The suspended animation, and they say that there was only one specific Jedi that was recognizable. And it was one of them that was in actually the Clone Wars animated series. It was the guy that I don't know, looked like he had two tentacles in the front. Let me no, it won't be worth it. But anyway, he was one of the first ones we saw, and then we saw. I thought it was odd though that they showed us, like, you know, they would show us someone that was there, and they would focus on it for a few seconds. It's not like they were just panning across. They would show somebody and then stay on it, and then show somebody and stay on it.
Then they showed a youngling too.
Yeah, they showed a youngling with the helmet on,
Yeah.
which is even weirder. And that's part of what I want to talk about a little bit too when we get into the episode. But I just don't. I mean, they have no regard for children at all. It seems like so. All right. So the next article is just an article from the Star Wars wiki page, and it is called Fortress Inquisitorus. So it's just basically a heavy description of it. It says Fortress Inquisitorus was heavily armed underwater stronghold located on the moon of Newer, like we said. They used to have a headquarters on Coruscant, but after Order 66, the Emperor thought it would be a good idea to appear to be more pleasant. So they basically hid them from public view. I mean, because they used to be publicly viewable, and stuff. And that's kind of when Darth Vader took over and all that stuff and managed them. It was where the Empire took Jedi they captured and turned them to the dark side by brutal torture, and turning them into Inquisitors. However, they were unable to corrupt some of them. And there was a few times that there was they were infiltrated by other Jedi, and those Jedi escaped or went to capture someone. There's a instance they talk about with Cal Kestit. I don't know how to say his name, but he's a Jedi that's in that game I was just mentioning, Fallen Order. He's the main character in that game, and it's basically a mission-based game. You go through and have to accomplish these certain things and stuff.
Software, BC.
Yeah. Let's see. Underwater, it's heavily guarded by stormtroopers. Most of the buildings' rooms are underwater, making them harder to get to. And then this next part talks about the different rooms that are there, maybe levels or rooms or whatever. The first one is the meeting room that we saw, where it has the big table that they were all sitting around, growling at each other and threatening each other and whatever. Then there's a Imperial dojo, and that serves as a training room for the Inquisitors and the Purge Troopers. We saw some Purge Troopers in the show this time. The ones with the black, and then they had the red visor thing going on. Training was fear-based and dark abusive in nature, which is weird, but in total contrast from the Jedi Temple is what they're trying to say. There's a detention level where captured Jedi are kept for interrogation, torture, and experimentation. Prisoners remain confined there until they have met their abominable fate, which either they die or they are converted. There's an interrogation chamber. Central interrogation chamber was a torture room where Jedi underwent menacing procedures to transform them into Inquisitors. And I think that's that room that Leia was in, that they strapped her into that thing. I think that's the interrogation chamber.
Yeah.
The room was designed under special instructions from Palpatine himself, to physiologically and physically drain prisoners' will, forcing them to acquiesce evil and be converted to the dark side as Inquisitors. There's several security systems. We saw kind of like there's these bridge walkways in between the different sections, right? With the windows and stuff, and those were designed that way so they could flood a specific section. Like if somebody was trying to escape, they could flood that section they were trying to escape from, or whatever. And they could all be sectioned off and such. There was a shielding system, of course, to protect from any water breaches. Each wing of the fortress had a maximum security and stability, and they all had a control room. So they were all basically, autonomous sections. There wasn't a central control room. Let's say each section had their own control room, and then there's a section for the hidden Jedi tombs. Hallway, which multiple corpses of fallen Jedi are being held, including the bodies of Jedi Master Terrace and Sindubi, which is that guy I was telling you about that was recognized, and one of the younglings that we saw in Revenge of the Sith, I think it was, right? Okay. This was, like I said, it was used before on Coruscant under the Imperial era, and like I said, they used it. They moved it after Order 66. Blah blah blah. It became the blah blah. Let's see. Okay. During Kenobi's break-in, the Inquisitor conference room. Let me see. Third sister, who had command of the operation. Okay, I don't know. This is going over what we saw in the other episodes. So, what's else? That's about it, really. That's kind of all we know. There's not a lot. I mean, we see like pictures of it in a lot of different things, but we don't know a whole lot more about it. Mostly from that game is what we've seen, where they've gone in and tried to rescue someone or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the news. So let me end the news.
The news.
Anything interesting jump out there at you, Scott, or not?
No, I just have the episode on right now. I guess they do it all the time. They just hang the TIE fighters from the ceiling.
Yeah, that's kind of allows them to drop the TIE fighter, so it can, take off easier, I guess.
Yeah.
But let's do spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Danger. You are about to be spoiled. This is your spoiler alert. We're about to talk candidly and explicitly about some TV shows or movies. If you have not watched them, please fast forward to the appropriate section. You will not be warned again, because you will be spoiled.
All right.
Feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback.
ILEJOHNCNUS. Yeah, so feedback, this is our plea to get people to give us feedback. So, you know, anything you hear on any of these episodes, please send us some feedback. Give us your opinion. Tell us what we did wrong, what we didn't do wrong, what your opinion is, what your theory is, any of that stuff. We could go through this and completely misconstrue everything, and you could correct us. Go ahead. We don't care. We just want someone to respond to us. We have several questions of the week that are. Yeah, we have several questions of the week that are available. Including the one last week, which is how bad was Obi-Wan burnt or something like that is what it was. And the one before that was something to do with Darth Vader, I think. Anyway, we have a new one for this week, so we want you to answer those and give us your opinions. We have comments section on our YouTube videos that we do of this that you'll see both of us kind of staring off into space while we're doing this, but we're there. I'm not really staring off into space. I'm looking at a outline usually. But yes, we need your feedback. Good job. Okay, feedback. You want to get right into it, Scott?
Sure.
All right. So we start out with a scene they call "Escape and Captivity." This is where at the beginning we see Obi-Wan is having flashbacks about them taking him somewhere and all that stuff, right? And he wakes up to find himself in a starship that Tala is flying, and her droid, that thing that we saw in the repair shop is there.
The loader droid.
Yeah, the loader droid. And he remembers being carried and stuff. Like I said, we see these flashbacks, and he gets eventually, he wakes up for a second. I think he passes back out, and then he wakes up again, and he finds himself in a bacta tank, right? And he kind of panics and climbs out of there because he's like, well, "What are we doing? And we need to go get Leia." He's all worried about that, right?
Where's Leia?
Where's Leia? She tells Tala tells him that he needs to get back in the bacta tank because he's not healed yet, right?
Yeah.
Burned. And of course, all Kenobi cares about is Leia. She basically tells Kenobi that that the fortress, the Inquisitors have her. Fortress Inquisitorus on the ocean floor of Noir. We see Leia in a room, and she's got a couple stormtroopers in the room with her guarding her or something. And she's like, "I'm the daughter of Princess Alderaan. I'm the daughter of a senator. And you can't treat me this way. I'm a spoiled little senator's daughter. Come on." And what is it? Reva comes in and starts interrogating her and saying, "Where are they? Come on, tell me." And I thought this was interesting. During this interrogation little scene here, Reva tries to do a little force thing where she tries to read her mind or something.
Yeah.
And Leia says, "Hey, what are we doing? We're playing, we're having a staring contest."
Yeah.
What's going on here? A lot of people online are talking about that and how that they think that, like I said, that Reva was trying to do a force reader mind thing, and Leia was able to, block it somehow, which is interesting because That would be
weren't that just have alerted Darth Vader? Like,
it should have, right? And she
there's
didn't,
force being used here.
and Reva didn't really say anything either about it, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
what
so
I
that
was
makes
wondering. Like, hold on a second.
so that makes me think that maybe Reva just isn't strong enough to do it. I don't know.
Mhm.
I just and we've seen um remember in the Last Jedi or whatever when what's her name's being interrogated by Kylo Ren, and she's like shaking and kind of trying to stop him from reading her mind,
Yeah.
and she's putting across a lot of effort, and Leia's not putting across any effort. So I don't know if maybe that's not happening, or the Force reading mind thing is not happening or whatever, because she doesn't seem to be affected at all. Um. So yeah, so we go back to the planet Jabium is where they had Kenobi in the back to tank, and they're talking to another guy called Roken about how they're gonna rescue Leia. What do they have to do? How are they gonna get there? And um, don't we see this guy call him General Kenobi? And he talks about the Clone Wars a little bit too, that he fought in the Clone Wars. So this guy probably knows Kenobi from that very well. And I think they finally convinced at least the guy to help out. And they exchange a little conversation about his wife that was a Jedi, this Roken guy, and he knows all about how bad the Empire is, what they're capable of, because she was captured and tortured, and I think he says that she was killed, but he probably doesn't know that for sure. A lot of the stuff I've seen online says that it's possible that Reva was his wife.
Oh, wow.
And that would be an interesting twist in the story if that was true.
Sure.
And I mean, yeah, and he wasn't the guy that was we see later on in the episode where they're helping Kenobi escape. They got killed. That's not the same guy. That's a different guy. I'm pretty sure.
He's the leader. He stayed back. And those are two.
Yeah, those are two pilots or whatever. All right, so let's go through here. So agrees to Kenobi, and they get a brief on the moon, and it's in the Mustafar system. Lord Vader is still on his ship, but he believes he's close. Wade, Resson, and Sully discuss infiltrating the fortress with Roken. The command center. Sully admits that they don't know what's inside. They have no idea what it looks like inside. And that the facility is unshielded because the Inquisitors believe nobody is stupid enough to attack them. Right, so they didn't plan ahead and put shielding around it or anything like that. Blah blah blah. They talk about landing speeders in at the facility, and the idea gets dismissed because those speeders aren't in good shape. They're used for hauling sewage, and that's about it. And we see Sully points out that Kenobi still is kind of weak and wounded. And this is where Kenobi asks for volunteers to help out. And we see that Tala volunteers right away to go with him, to help him out because she's got the officer clearance.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a little questioning about whether her clearance is still intact because of what she did on the last episode. And they're like, well, we'll find out, I guess, right? Let's see. So they travel to Tala's ship. Kenobi kind of reassures Tala that he will be all right. He's practicing levitation and stuff, doing his meditating and whatever. And then we see, we go back to Reva questioning Leia. And she's basically, Reva's trying to get Leia to tell her about this secret network called the Path.
Yeah.
They've already uncovered 2 safe houses in the Path network system. And Leia, since Reva's told Leia that Kenobi's dead, Leia asks about it, and Reva says that he was burnt to death on Mapazu, or whatever that planet's called. And she offers Leia the to be returned to her family as long as she reveals where the path is or what the path is. And Leia says she doesn't know anything about that. And she repeats that several times because this is a big sequence where she's questioning and yelling and threatening, in which, like I said, I have problems with that. The girl's only supposedly 10 years old in the show.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right that they're getting that forceful against a little kid who's just gonna, it's not very cool. And it looks like we see we switch to a scene where Tala's ship lands on the fortress hangar bay, and she walks through, kind of walking by a bunch of troopers and other officers, and she gets questioned by the sentry who is letting her into the building, basically, right? Some big scanner thing or whatever that she's got to walk through. And she gets denied at first. He's not going to let her in, but she threatens him basically and says, "Hey, I'm your commanding officer. What the hell are you doing?" And threatens him and convinces him to let her in through, because she's going to report him to the Grand Inquisitor. He doesn't. And we see Kenobi swimming underwater to get underneath the complex, and apparently go through some sort of tunnels or whatever.
Yeah.
And she contacts Kenobi and says, "Hey, let me know when you're in." And he enters, like I said, through a tunnel into the base. And it's a weird room and there's like a guard outside the room who hears him almost right away as soon as he comes in, into the thing. And then we see, he takes out the stormtrooper and all that. And then we see Reva is back with Leia, and they take her to the big interrogation room and put her into that device that kind of locks her in, right?
Yep.
Da, da, da. And Leia kind of does something with her droid, and that's when Reva catches the droid and reveals that she had a droid when she was younger too. Let's see what else. And we hear Tala now trying to look up information about where Leia is being held, and relaying it to Kenobi. And she gets interrupted by another officer who is like, "Hey, who are you?" And they go back behind a wall or whatever, and apparently she roughs him up and knocks him out somehow. But she leaves her comm link behind, and Kenobi is trying to contact her, right?
No.
And, yeah, and that's when one of those seeker droids goes by on one of the hallways, and he sneaks out of the way, and supposedly hides from it on the other side of the doorway or whatever. As the droid's looking through the glass, he's right there. Oh, and he's also going down the hallway, and that's when we see the stormtroopers go by, and he jumps up into some storage bin or whatever in the hallway.
Yeah.
And they think, they know where he's at, and he does some sort of force thing to make a noise somewhere else, and they go off to investigate that instead. But it's a very tense moment because they're right there by him, and he's like gonna get captured. And
Oh no.
And then he does a little tunk thing, and something distracts him. So, yeah, he gets that. And Reva's still torturing, and basically telling Leia that the people she's trying to protect aren't coming for her, because they have no idea where they're at, and nobody. She's going to die here if she doesn't tell what they want to know. We see Leia kind of pretend to help out a little bit, but she doesn't really. She just kind of she asks Reva if she can talk to her father or something like that first. And Reva says Reva gets her all set up to get the little robot arms to probe her head and stuff. And we see Kenobi getting close, and he goes into a chamber marked with red Imperial symbols on each side of the door. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
And that's where he discovers the Jedi that are frozen or preserved or whatever. Sees a youngling and several other Jedi, and they keep getting. We see where those little arms are getting closer and closer to Leia. The machine powers up and everything, and the third sister Reva kind of gives Leia another chance to cooperate. And that's when Kenobi asks Tala to create a distraction. So that because he realizes that something's going on, he can sense it or something. I don't know. And we see we see an officer enter the interrogation room with a message from Tala. And Reva allows Tala to come in and claims that Tala claims the Path insurgents operate on a place called the Florum in Surtar sector. They've intercepted some sort of communication, and she advises Reva to send forces immediately to crush the network. But Reva doesn't believe her, right? She's like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then suddenly the lights in the room go off and the entire interrogation room goes dark. And that's where we see Kenobi every once in a while lights up his lightsaber and attacks a stormtrooper or somebody.
Yeah, I think that 2 stormtroopers in place.
Pew, pew, pew. And then he turns off his lightsaber pew, 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 again. And he gets Leia loose, and it looks like Reva has figured out that this Tala is probably who helped Kenobi escape from Marzapul or whatever that planet's called. And Kenobi and Leia are running through the hallways that that Kenobi went through, and they're being searched after by a seeker droid that is trying to fire at them and all that stuff. And right when Reva orders her troops to take Tala in for interrogation, the alarms start going off, and we hear Kenobi contact Tala on the comm link, and this distracts her captors enough so that she can break free. And Kenobi uses his lightsaber to take out the seeker droid and stormtroopers that are following him. And that's where we see, like the glass that's on the tunnel is starting to crack more.
Yeah.
And
one of the deflections hit the glass.
One of the blaster things or whatever's hit the glass. Or it could have been his lightsaber too. I couldn't tell for sure if his lightsaber hit it.
I think it was deflection from the lightsaber.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking too. And he takes care of all of the those, and Leia says, "Hey, it's the glass is gonna crack and break open," and Kenobi says, I'm gonna stop it. You guys get out. I'm gonna force stop it." And Tala catches up with him, and they force their way
in where the doors open, and
a bunch of other like a purge trooper and some more stormtroopers make their way into that tunnel, and start attacking Kenobi. He's fighting them off he's deflecting the lasers with his lightsaber and holding off the glass at the same time, with his force powers, like you said. And he makes sure that everybody gets out, and then he runs and lets the glass break, and it floods the chamber. And all the stormtroopers and everything are floating in water. We assume they're dead, right?
Yeah.
And we see the fifth brother, the one that thinks he's in charge, order the fortress to be locked down, and then he blames the third sister for mishandling everything. And they see Tala and Kenobi on the docking bay, and the flight deck, and try to stop them with some stormtroopers. They get them all surrounded, right?
Yeah. They're just fighting away.
Exactly. And Reva says that Tala is a traitor to the Empire. And Tala says that's she was never part of the Empire. That's not who she was. So she didn't really betray the Empire. And Reva says that they're all going to die. And she motions for the troops to start to get ready to fire on her, right? Mm-hmm. So we get a tense scene where we see all the troops point their guns at her. They're all cocking their weapons and stuff. And that's where the air speeders show up and start firing and knocking out all the troopers. It looked like Kenobi did quite a bit of knocking out stormtroopers too with his lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
He went around, and he uses a gun too. So he's using both during this scene, which I think it's funny that he keeps picking up guns and shooting guns instead.
Yeah.
Because like you said, he doesn't think they're civilized. I think it's funny that he keeps doing that, and he downs. Okay, the air speeders. One of them lands and allows them to jump on, and it's Sully, the female that was at the when they were planning out everything. She's the one that's carrying them out, and there's another guy that's there, also Wade, it says, and he is distracting the rest of the stormtroopers by shooting at him. It looks like choo choo choo.
Tells her just go.
Yeah, he tells her to just go or get him out, get everybody out. I'll be right behind you. And Reva uses the Force to hurl a rectangular explosive at Wade's speeder, and it explodes. Dun. And we all get sad because he dies. And the fifth brother scowls at the third sister before walking away. Gives her a look like, hey, why'd you let him escape?
I did my best.
I did my best. And then, not long after that, we see Darth Vader shows up, and he's pissed. He's like, what is going on? He chokes her up in the air,
Yeah.
Arr, why did you do? I told you you were gonna be killed if you didn't do what I say, and all this stuff. And we've got the fourth sister and the fifth brother all there watching.
They're smirking like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, you deserve this. And Vader wants to kill her for her failure. But Reva manages to speak while she's being choked and says that she placed a tracker on the ship. And she promises the Empire will soon uncover the location of the Path Network and Kenobi. And that's when Vader says, "Oh, I misunderstood you, or I underestimated you," is what he says, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the fifth brother protests, reminding him that the base was almost destroyed. And Vader says, "Hey, no more mistakes, because this doesn't work out for you. Nothing else is. You're going to be done." And Reva reassures the tracker is definitely aboard the ship, and So we see Sully driving the speeder. They're all talking and stuff, and they land and unload, and they see Roken, and Roken says, "Hey, where's Wade, man? Where's the guy that I sent with you?" And Sully replies that this is all there is, and that Wade's not coming back. And Tala and Kenobi sit down and have a drink. And this is where we see that little tender scene where Leia grabs the hand of Kenobi and they have a little hand holding moment. And then we see Lola peeking out of Leia's little, I don't know, purse or whatever that thing is. And it glows red. Dun, dun, dun. By the way, I did look that up. I don't know if you looked it up too, but I looked it up, and you're right. The eyes were blue before, and now they glow red because they've been manipulated by the dark side. And so that's the end of the episode. That's the credits roll right after that. So I'll let you think about that for a second while you come up with things to talk about. Are you planning your next trip to Tatooine? Well, come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where our droids will spruce up your wagon. We'll service just about anything from Starfighter Corellian Y1300 freighter to a Vespa hovering scooter. If we don't have the part, we can get it. If you qualify for our special program, we'll provide you with any part our Jawas can get. Well, that's right. Come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where we can store fuel and upgrade your vessel. We're located at Tatooine's Mos Eisley Spaceport, Hangar 35. 35. Yeah, so what'd you think about the episode?
It was cool.
It was cool, huh? Anything jump out at you?
I just wondering what if those Jedi are in suspended animation or dead, and they're trophies or something.
Yeah, I almost want to think they're trophies, but they're preserving them, because it does kind of look like the same fluid that we saw the clones in the Clone Wars and stuff, almost, right?
It's almost well in what was that? In Mando, when the doctor's trying to get his DNA from Grogu's DNA.
Yeah.
That's the same. That looks like the same laboratory, the same hallway.
Kind of.
Where they have all these specimens.
Yeah, and if you remember on the Bad Batch when they were, the last episode where they were escaping, and they were in the secret lab, and there was some of those tubes had actual bodies in them or whatever.
Yeah,
it was the same color liquid that we saw in this episode too, kind of a yellowish, brownish kind of liquid. So I don't know. I think it's a preservative, in my opinion.
Yeah, like amber, like that, like
something like that. Yeah, something to keep them, like I said, so they don't, decay or something, so they can, like you said, maybe use them for cloning purposes and stuff. Which, this was around the time. So the theory is that Palpatine had already started his contingency thing where he was cloning. That was one of the main reasons why they destroyed Kamino, because the Empire, Palpatine specifically, wanted the technology and he didn't want anybody else to have it, so he destroyed it and kept it for himself. And this is the time between Order 66 and New Hope, so this is when he was 10 years into that, so he's already been working on cloning. So I'm pretty sure that that's part of it, because his ultimate plan was to figure out a way to clone something, a body, basically clone a body that was force sensitive, so that he could live forever. So if once the body died, he could just have another one and transfer his, consciousness or whatever into it, kind of thing. So I think that they're just preserving them so they can use, experiment on them or whatever kind of thing. But it also could be trophies too, right? So, they could say, hey, we Inquisitors took care of these people. So, and so what do you want the question of the week to be? Do you want to be the Lola? Is Lola the tracker, or what do you want it to be? Anything interesting that you?
Not that I can think of, but that's a good one on where they're going to go.
Yeah, where's their next step, or is
Lola going to be? Are they going to be able to find out that Lola's a tracker? Or
yeah, that's a good one. Let's use that. So, is when do they find out that Lola's the tracker, or if they do? Do they find out Lola is the tracker? And they probably do, would be my guess, because I'm going to think that at least Reva and maybe some other Inquisitors get sent to follow the tracker, right? They end up on that planet again, the Jayum or whatever it's called, which appears to be some sort of base that they're using for this, transferring of the Jedis and saving the Jedis or whatever. So I think probably they're going to find them, and destroy the base or something. I don't know. I don't think the third sister is going to live for very much longer, in my opinion. So, because we obviously well, we all know that Kenobi escapes, and Vader's not gonna let that go, is he? So
unless she confronts face to face with her supposed husband, and love wins overall.
Yeah, and they could escape her or get her to defect back to the regular. Because I also read somewhere that Reva was a youngling Jedi in the temple, the Jedi temple that was destroyed by Anakin. So she either was captured or escaped and captured later. So she can't be that old. So she was probably, I don't know, let's say 15 during Order 66 when Anakin went and destroyed the temple.
Yeah.
So she either was captured or escaped or something, and was converted to the dark side and made an Inquisitor. So and that's supposedly documented and stuff like that there. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I find it in general fascinating that um, you know the writers and stuff are kind of pulling from all these games and books and stuff that Disney said was not canon anymore, and they're pulling stuff in. Yeah, because we don't see anything about this Inquisitor thing in any of the movies, right? This Fortress Inquisitorus. We don't see any of that. I mean, we do see Darth Vader's little, whatever you want to call it, palace or whatever on Mustafar. So I'd like to learn more about it too, but I don't know if we will. I'm wondering if this is the last time we see the fortress.
I don't know. Whether what's her name gives herself up. Let's say both Kenobi and like it comes to that.
I mean, Tala, yeah, it could be. Yeah, so we have 2 episodes left. According to the current listing, we still don't have, like we saw that there was going to be more episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're still not listed on the website. Yeah, so it's just 5 and 6. So the 15th and the 22nd are the next 2 episodes, which follow in line. I think next week is actually a week that I have to go to a game on Saturday, so that'll be fun. Anything else we want to go over?
No, I'm good.
We want to end it?
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.US. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.US. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Films Ltd, Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd, Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Behave.